Hello, Assalamualaikum, and good morning, everyone. For this week 11, we are going to cover chapter 11, which is the role of culture. Okay, so before we start, let us see what is the objective in this chapter. All right, so in this chapter, it's all about how the culture, the characteristic, the elements, and how the culture affect the communication and the way people do business, in international business. All right, so let us start with the definition of the culture. Okay, so as we can see here, the culture is the collection of value, belief, behavior, custom, and attitude that distinguish one society from another. So the society rules determines the rules that govern how firms operate in the society. Okay, so the characteristic of the culture divided into a few character, which is the first one is learned behavior, meaning to say the learned behavior means we can transmit the culture from one member to one member of a society to another. So this is the characteristic of culture. In the community, we have a similar culture and interrelated elements. This is number two. For example, in Japan, they are group oriented and hierarchical. So their hierarchical society focus or emphasis more on harmony and loyalty. So it is also implemented in how they work, where in Japan they have a lifetime employment and a minimal job switching. Okay, the third one is adaptive, meaning to say the characteristic of culture. The culture change in response to external forces that affect the society. Okay, so it's adaptive. You can adapt with any changes. Shared means the culture shared by a member of the society and define the membership of the society. So this is the characteristic of the culture. All right, so what is the elements in the culture? So basically we have five elements in the culture, and you have to know all of these elements, because this is one of the objective in this subject, which is objective number 2. Okay, so element consists of religion, communication, language, social structure, and value or attitude. So all of these elements will be the discussion in the next slides. Okay, in terms of social structure, we have individual, families, and groups, meaning to say some culture they are very concerned about the family, the extended family, but other countries such as USA, they only concern about the father, mother, and maybe their children. Compared to Asia culture, we concern so much on the extended family. Okay, while for social stratification, in Malaysia we have stratification according to the income group, which is B40, M40, T20. Okay, if you remember, in India, they also have some sort of social stratification based on their wealth and income. Okay, it's happened to also to the other country. Okay, social mobility, meaning to say we can actually move the individual, the ability of the individual to move from one stratum of society to another. If you work harder, you can also uh, uh, can uh, can achieve your a better level of income and social status. For example, if we work harder, we can go to from B40 to M40. Okay, so the next one is language. Of course, in this world we have many languages, okay, worldwide. And as we know, English is the most spoken language in this world. This is due to the fact that they are actually before in the 18th century, in the 18th century, in the 19th century, the British economic and military dominance all over the world, a few places in the world, and the dominance of the US since World War II, English has emerged as the predominant common language or the use in the international business. So English is commonly used worldwide, and it is most of the country offer English language in their education. And this is African colonial legacy, and this is the problem, because we, in order to communicate, in order to conduct business, international business people must be able to communicate. So English is worldwide used, yeah. So we need to understand this English. So this is example of the translation disasters. Okay, KFC's fingers licking good. This is the tagline of KFC, but unfortunately China define it as eat your fingers off. Oh my god, kan. So if you want to translate something, make sure it is recommended to do back translation. Okay, and this is the example of Caterpillar. Caterpillar is a machinery, a heavy machinery. It is advisable to use simple English when we provide a manual in machinery, or use other language, so that it will easier for to refer the manual user. All right, so we're still in language. We also have common mistake on the use of the words. For example, menena. Okay, menena in USA, they define the North Americans. Yeah, the North Americans define menena as tomorrow, but actually Latin America define menena as the some other day, or not today, not literally tomorrow. While for Japanese, they are very polite. For them, if they say no, meaning to say they are being very impolite, so they always say yes. For the other culture that, or countries that do not understand about Japanese language, they thought that when the Japanese said yes, they already agree with the business deal, while actually they are they cannot say no, because no is very impolite for them. Yes means yes, I understand what is being said, not yes, I agree. Okay, so that's why we need to also learn language other than verbal communication, spoken. We also have the non-verbal communication, because 80 to 90% of all information transmitted among member of culture by means of the other language. So we also need to know, because different country has their different non-verbal communication, including the facial expression, hand gesture, eye contact, body positioning, body posture, and so on. So yeah, they have a very different culture in terms of gift giving and hospitality. Of course, in Malaysia, for government servant, we cannot simply give the gift, but other cultures such as Japan, they believe that after the business deal, maybe we can ask them to go for entertainment, dinner, and so on, and exchange gift. But of course, in their culture, we cannot open the gift in front of the other people, so in public, okay, because they are very polite. Okay, so in terms of religion, okay, so what is imposes constraint on roles of individual in society. For example, Muslim, we have our Al-Quran and As-Sunnah, so we have to follow. Okay, so in this world, 2.38 billion Christian, and Islam 1.91 billion, the second highest. Okay, this is in 2020. All right, and this is the major world religion. Yeah, you can refer to your textbook. Okay, all right, and a value. What is value and attitude? Because we define culture is a value and attitude. So value and attitude, referring value are the principle and standard accepted by the member. Okay, so um while attitude is encompass the actions, feeling, and thought that result from those value. Okay, all right, so we will explain about the value and attitude later in terms of time, age, education, and status. Of course, other culture, for example, time. Okay, for example, okay, so in terms of time, for example, other country perceive that time is money, but other countries such as Arab, of course Malaysian, usually we come 30 minutes later or 45 minutes later. So this is about the attitude, yeah, the value, how we perceive the time. And of course, in terms of age, in our culture, we really respect the elderly, yeah. And of course, the education, more we usually respect the highly educated people. And of course, in terms of status, yeah, status is achieved also very across culture. Okay, some of in Malaysia, some of the status are inherited. um for example, sultan, okay, so this is all the value and attitudes, about the value and attitudes. Okay, and we move on the theories. We also have three types of culture. Yeah, you have to remember this one. The first one is Hall's law context theory. Okay, and the second one is cultural cluster approach, and the third one is Hofstede 5 dimensions. So I believe all of you very familiar with Hofstede 5 dimensions when we talk about the culture. But actually we have the first one is a low context versus high context approach. So this is the understanding communication based on the relative emphasis on verbal and non-verbal cue to transmit meanings. Okay, for example, okay, for low context, country, okay, for example, German, Swiss, Scandinavia, US, Canada, British, Italian, Spanish, this one is intermediate. Okay, the high context is Japanese, Korean, and Chinese. Meaning to say, in okay, so this is what low context means in terms of communication. We have specific, detailed, precise, and poor at decoding unspoken message. There actually is not that emotional if we have lower context culture. Okay, but for high context culture such as Japanese, Korean, Chinese, they use a lot of, you need to understand the body language, due to the fact that they communicate less direct. For example, just now the Japanese always said height, meaning to say yes, but actually they not necessarily agree with your idea. Yeah, so emphasis on human relations. They concern so much on long-term relationship and more sensitivity to non-verbal feeling of others. So we really need to understand about this culture. Yeah, very often in lower context they are very straightforward, and every time when they do business means business, so they always bring their lawyer in the first meeting. But for high context culture, they don't really like this kind of a strategy by bringing your lawyer, because for them it means you are not trusting them. Yeah, you not trust them to do business, so it will hurt. It will really make them frustrated. Yeah, so that's why we need to really understand other culture. So the second one is the cultural cluster approach. Okay, cluster means we divided into different area, okay, different location, geographical location. For example, um, um, we will in the cultural example I will show you later. Okay, each cultural cluster reflect a shared history, religion, economic development, regional proximity, and other factors. Okay, so this is the example of the synthesis of country culture. So for Far Eastern, we have this is Asia. Okay, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Taiwan, Thailand, Vietnam. So they group us together. Okay, so we share. For them, we are sharing the same culture. Not exactly the same, but we have quite similar, yeah, because we are Asia. So Arab, we have Latin European, Germany, Nordic, Anglo, Latin America. So this is how they divided the culture according to the cluster. All right. So this is the last types of the last subtopic in this chapter. Yeah, the theory of culture. We are still in theory of culture. Remember, the first one is low context versus high context. Okay, and the second one is cultural cluster approach, and this is the third one. Okay, this one is much very popular when we talk about Hofstede 5 dimensions. Okay, all right. So we have social orientation, power, uncertainty, goal orientation, and time orientation. We will talk about this in the next subsection. Okay, in terms of social orientation for individualism, they believe that for highly individualism culture, okay, we believe that person comes first, and the key value of individualistic people include a high degree of self-respect and independence. This is in developed countries such as UK, US, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and Netherlands. But for collectivism, highly collective culture, we believe that the group comes first, and societies that tend to be collective, these are usually characterized by well-defined social networks, including extended families, co-workers. Yeah, example in Asia, Mexico, and Colombia. Okay, this is number one. So number two is the power orientation. What is power orientation? All right, so in power orientation, this is referring to the belief that people in a culture hold about the appropriateness of power and authority differences in hierarchical, such as business organizations. So if we have high power respect, we tend to accept the power and authority of their superiors simply on the basis of the superior position in the hierarchy. For example, in France, Spain, Mexico, Japan, Brazil, Indonesia, Malaysia also have a high power respect. Okay, but for power tolerance, they always question, yeah, willing to question a decision or mandate from someone at higher level, or perhaps even refuse to accept it. Okay, if in our culture we have a high power respect, we always respect our superior, our lecturer, and we very seldom argue with them, right? So because our culture, okay, power orientation. Okay, so uncertainty orientation, this is the third dimension in Hofstede. Okay, uncertainty means emotional response to uncertainty and change. Okay, so if the culture, okay, if the culture have high uncertainty acceptance, we accept any risk, okay, risk taking, for example, they're willing to take the risk. But for this is the example of the countries that uncertainty acceptance, and for the uncertainty avoidance, such as these countries, they are actually it's not that sorry, for uncertainty avoidance, meaning to say they dislike ambiguity and will avoid it whenever possible. So any they see the ambiguity and change as undesirable, and they prefer a structured and routine environment, and even its bureaucratic ways of doing things. Alright, so number 4 is goal orientation. Okay, for the this is what motivates people to achieve different goal. Okay, so if the culture is highly aggressive, they are focused more on high premium on material position, money, and assertiveness. While for passive behavior, they really value on social relationship, quality of life, and concern for others. So what is the example of country actually doing what we call it passive, yeah, passive behavior? For example, Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, and Finland, they have a passive goal orientation. Okay, so as we expected, US moderately aggressive goal behavior, while for Japanese, they have a very aggressive in goal behavior. Yeah, that's why they really work hard. Okay, time orientation, I think this is the time orientation is the last dimension in Hofstede. Yeah, what is time orientation? Actually, this is the extent to which member of a culture adopt a long-term, a short-term outlook on work and life. Okay, so in the Hofstede theory, they said that Japan, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and South Korea have a long-term future orientation that value dedication, hard work, perseverance, and thrift. While for short-term outlook, Pakistan and West Africa tend to focus on the past and present, emphasizing respect for traditions and fulfillment of social obligations. Yeah, that's why we can see that in their culture. Yeah. Alright, so this is the last slide in this chapter. When we want to understand the new culture, yeah, if let's say for example your boss send you to the other country, so what you're going to do? You need to self-reference criterion. You can call any friends from the host country, and just or in a home country, and ask them about the culture or cultural literacy. We need to learn. Okay, we need to need the knowledge, okay, about other culture before we go before we do business with the other country. We really need to learn before we start. If not, we may fail in our negotiation or in our business. So acculturation, acculturation means we assimilate, yeah, we compatible, we adapt with their culture. All right, so thank you very much for listening to my lecture today. This is very interesting topic to learn. Okay, so I really hope that you will learn no, not you will learn. You can learn a lot from my presentation. So once again, I would like to repeat the objective is to know the characteristic of culture, and the characteristic is learned behavior, interrelated elements, adaptive and shared, and of course the element in culture also. Most of our discussion today is about the element of culture, which is religion, communication, language, social structure, and value. So this is very important in this chapter, and of course how these five elements of culture affect on how we communicate, how we do business, and the religion, the religion in that country. And of course the last one that we cover just now is the theory in the culture. So basically we have three types of theories in culture, which is Halls, low context, high context approach. Halls is the name of the people who initiate that theory, and cultural cluster approach, and the last one is Hofstede 5 dimensions. Thank you guys for listening, and good luck in your test. Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera.